Hello there, and welcome to Sweet Child of Time. It's a podcast where I introduce a sweet child to Amazon's world of the Wheel of Time. I, being Steve Barnes, am your host, and I have a co-host. I call him a sweet child, but he's really James McCullum. I see you, James. Hello.
I hear you as well, sir.
Do you hear me well? Am I up in the mics?
I mean, for me, we talk about this off. I am currently because you're like, James, you can't go any louder. So I turn myself up louder than I normally do on a podcast record. I'm very quiet in my recording because I don't like mic bleed, and if there's no one around, it's like I don't need it that loud. I am so loud in my headphone. I think I need to just turn you up even louder so I can just turn my headphones down in general, because Steve likes me loud. He's like, Kiss.
I want to hear it loud. Yeah, because I can only hear my own voice. So my voice sounds muffled because it's through the headphones, but it's still louder than anything else in the room. And you are coming through very quietly, and it's my fault, listeners. I need more headphones, but we'll get to that.
Is it louder than the love in your house, though?
Oh my God. The love is just like overflowing out the windowsills. I mean, it could not compare. The love in the house is bigger than the sun. If we'll go back to Wheel of Time references.
Do you hear the love inside?
Yeah. So how's your single doing, Gene Material? I've been loving it. Is it doing pretty well?
Yeah, this is the first record since it's been out and available. I think I did not check, and it's in the other room. It's at like probably 30,000 listens.
Right on. Cool. Is it like moving up on those comedy charts like we were hoping to sneak up on Louis C.K.?
No, because also like it's so hard to find these charts. Like on Who Charted, I don't know how they look and curate that stuff, at least for Spotify. Spotify seems, unless it's just, hey, it's in the world, but trying to like narrow things down, it seems difficult.
Yeah, lists are subjective. I remember coming on your podcast before we had this one, and I went ahead and looked at the top 5 music from a particular year just because I wanted to add something to the conversation. I was getting a list, I think, from like the late 90s, and like there was multiple lists to choose from, and they were all wildly different. So I basically chose the one that I thought looked the most interesting to talk about.
You just gotta, for Billboard, it's very easy. But when it comes to streaming and all that, and then the radio, like Billboard, I'll never be on a chart on Billboard. I guarantee it. So, and I think you also need like SoundScan and all of that bullshit. You probably need to be in ASCAP or all of those weird aggregates and bullshit that's so antiquated and behind the times now.
I hear that. Well, our Rebecca Crow is not doing as well. I should whisper this because, okay, I hope nobody can hear me. But yeah, Heather doesn't want me to plug the Rebecca Crow EP, but I do want to plug it because I like it a lot. But Heather's like, it sounds terrible. I hate the way it sounds. And I'm like, no, it sounds good. It's good enough. So yeah, that's doing okay. I could use a few more listens on that. I think maybe I have a dozen or so. But what we've been working on new material. We were jamming out Saturday. I didn't think we were being too obnoxious or loud, but someone in the house did and came downstairs and begged us like in serious tones that we had to turn down. We had to stop what we were doing. And Heather and myself were like, this is kind of what we do. This is Saturday. This is like the day to do this. It's 2 p.m. But yeah, we were still forced to turn that down, but we can still record quietly. We're okay with that. I got to go get loud. Oh, what was that? I'm sorry.
Were you doing too many like high-end stuff? Maybe that's why Hopper came in the room and said, please stop doing this.
Hopper is chill as he can be when it comes to playing music, which is shocking. He just sits in the other room and lays on the couch. It's great. And Melissa never comes around. There's another individual in the house, though, that their ears are very sensitive to certain pitches of vocals. And I did get some successful recording with my what should I say? My unauthorized ghost band member, Sam Colleran. We got together and did some recordings at his house for Intravoid. So that's more stuff coming out too. So we're churning it out, dude. Springtime. We're blooming.
Hell yeah. The one of the newest guests on Mostly Speaking Sentai. It will be a week ago when this releases, I believe. But Shelby from the Rom Complex was like, I love that song. When I put on jeans, I'm just like, I got jean material on them. I'm like, yes, we're breaking into the lexicon.
Definitely in my head, it's like going through my head all just the basic line. I want that. I think about it when I put my jeans on too, because I put on black jeans every day. So
Man.
you're in there, buddy.
Nicole wanted me to wear jeans back in the day, and I enjoyed the jeans that I wore, but after the pandemic, I'm like, no, I'm going back to high school me of wearing red slacks that are very baggy, but like probably like 2 sizes a little bit larger around the waist and like floofiness. So that's the kind of thing I enjoy wearing. But if I trim down a little bit, even though they fit, but I don't like tightness on me.
Oh,
so
right.
the pants now are a perfect fit, but I need a loose fit. So I'm planning on losing weight and slimming down a little when it starts warming up here in sunny Chicago.
Oh, baby. Yeah. Hey, we're talking about jeans. I got some more jean material for us to talk about here. I've been in touch with our artist from last week. I featured her music on the show last week, Annie Jean Lynn, and I'm shocked that she agreed to come on the show. She'll be here in a couple of weeks, so that's our Jean material. Annie Jean Lynn is going to be joining us for the wrap up of episode 6.
And I have more jeans to talk about.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God.
Let's
Nicole
go.
and I are pregnant.
What? That's impossible, sir.
It's my nephew's birthday today. That's jean material.
Yeah, that is. That is your Jean celebrating another trip around the sun.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just said that. That's like the most cliche thing.
I mean, that's how he talks. He's constantly just quoting hang in there posters and mom blogs of the. He's like, oh, what I wouldn't do. He's also, I think he's 3 now. He's like, at the end of the day, I love a nice bottle of wine and not giving a shit. I think that's what mom blogs would say, but his is like a bottle of wine. 3-year-olds don't drink from bottles, I'm assuming.
Some do. They like that. They like that texture, that feel on the lips.
Were you ever into like scene kid binkies as a teen or adult?
Yes, that was a thing. That was a fad when I was in high school.
Or I guess I should say club kids. When I was like
Yeah.
5th grade, I went to Dollar General and bought one. I don't know where I saw it. It might have been an anime. It could be like a Digimon maybe had a binky. I was like, that's cool. And I probably saw on MTV some tweens and teens at a club with binkies in their mouth. Me not knowing it's like an ecstasy, not
Right.
swallowing your tongue bullshit. But I would have a binky and all I did was just chew it up to shit as a 5th grader. It's so embarrassing.
Well, yeah, maybe as a 5th grader, yeah, but there was high school kids that were doing the exact same thing in my school, and I distinctly remember well. Anytime I hear about that fad that comes up, what goes in my mind is there was a girl from my high school that got featured on the front page of the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and it was a huge spread, like war in Ukraine kind of thing, and it was like, new fad, kids like, pacifiers. And it was her dumb face with this dumb look on her face and a big pacifier in her mouth. And it was a triggering picture, I gotta say.
Yeah. Well, I'm into it now, but that's ABDL stuff, so we don't need to get into that.
Yeah, you're making it cool again. It's retro. When it's retro, it's cool. As it was happening, it was annoying.
This would be truly retro, a vintage baby shit, not because ABDL is adult baby diaper living. So,
Gotcha. I'm glad I
Yeah.
don't know that. I mean, that acronym went over my head, so I just assumed it was something weird, and I was right.
It is very.
Hey, let's see. We were talking about some bands and stuff. I'm going to switch gears and we're going to listen to a couple bands. Is that okay?
Yes, remember, stop asking.
James, remember, that is what I do.
You didn't do it last episode. Maybe we need you a little flummoxed and tired and not really there.
Oh,
so
okay.
You're just like,
where'd the file go? Oh, I got a file to play. I got to play Hewolf. Oh, they sent me their new single out of their EP, and I can't find it here. Yeah, okay. I don't act very well. Hewolf, new album, Age of Extinction, was just released, and thank goodness. You know that I'm friends with Hewolf, and I do have a correction to make from a few episodes back. But what I wanted to say was, I've always loved them, and, they're a great live act. They haven't put out an album since I think like 2019. And then they haven't put out an album. And then Eric joins Hex Machine and plays as their drummer. And, he's killing it with them. Then Johnny Throckmorton, the guitarist, all of a sudden is the lead singer for Murdersome, another Richmond death metal band. I'm like, is Hewolf still around? Hell yes, Hewolf is still around. They just put out the best EP they've ever put out, in my opinion. It's fantastic. The sound is great. You would appreciate the production because it was professionally engineered. But we're going to hear Age of Discovery right now by the boys Hewolf. And before we do, let me say my correction. I told you before that I was in a band with some of these guys and that I quote unquote just played in the same room with them and never made it to the stage. I was wrong about that. I've actually been on the stage with them multiple times. I used to sing backup with Johnny when they would do Jimi Hendrix songs. I would be his backup vocalist and dork it up. Another time I sat on stage and played percussion with their drummer Sam, who I was best friends with, and I always helped him load and unload his drums. The best time I was on stage with them was when I brought a keyboard on stage, didn't plug it in or anything, but I acted like I was playing it for the whole show. And that was the best time. So yeah, my Hewolf boys.
But guys, be ready for next week when he has another correction. He's like, it actually wasn't the Hewolf boys. It was Gigi Allen. That's who I was on stage with. Sorry.
Well, it wasn't Hewolf. It was Dusty Nutroll, which is the prior band, which is where Paul and Johnny, I think that's where they first met, was in Dusty Nutroll. And they were pretty popular back here in Richmond in the old days. But they've evolved into Hewolf. Let's go with some Age of Discovery. And James, here we go.
Take my
Yay, Hewolf. Very I didn't mention this before, James, before we started listening, that very appropriate with our episode today with a major wolf theme happening. Am I right?
Yeah, and if you want a song called She-Wolf by Lissasir and Razakel, where the hook is snip, snip, clip the tip off of your prick about severing man's penises, check that out.
You should. She rocks. You've turned me on to her, which is great.
Hell yeah.
The next song we're going to hear is not from her. I welcome you, James, to bring me any MP3 in from any of your cohorts, collaborators, friends, or admirers. I would love to play some Marshland Monster stuff on my podcast, too.
All right.
But instead, we're going back again. It's a repeat. Again, it's my buddy, even though I'm very mad at him right now. Voidmaster. He just put out a new single as well called Ritual Grinder. I did play a piece of this maybe 6 or 7 episodes back, but we're going to hear it in its entirety here because, like I said, it was just released and he has more material coming out. Like I said, Nate, I'm very, very mad at you. Yawn. We'll talk about that later. But first, Voidmaster.
It causes errors in time, space,
Oh, okay. I gotcha. We're back now, and I went ahead and started recording, and I thought James was applauding everything I was saying, and I really think that's what happened. And James applauds every time I say something funny or good. So you don't hear much applause on the show, but it happened twice just now.
Just in between the breaks, that's when I'm applauding. Maybe I'm applauding the entire job. Like, you don't applaud in the middle of a performance at a play. You save it for the end of each act.
Correct. Okay. It's all right. So we applaud for Voidmaster. Again, we were listening to Ritual Grinder there. So, music corner out of the way, book corner back. I got a recommendation from the lead singer of Rebecca Crow. She recommended a great book for us called House of Leaves. And this book is really interesting because it's the type of book that you can read out of sequence, and it sometimes will work better. I did this with both Game of Thrones and with The Wheel of Time, where like you can read the whole story cover to cover, or if you want, you can just read the Arya chapters all the way through, which is something I did one time. Or you can go through Wheel of Time and just only read the Matt chapters, which is another thing I did one time. Well, Heather loves this book, House of Leaves, but she's had a hard time getting through it because it has two different storylines going through it. They're in different fonts, so it's kind of easy to keep up with which one is which, but she's in the process now of reading that, in that style, like reading one font cover to cover, going back, then reading the next font cover to cover. So yeah, House of Leaves is the book recommendation for this week. Any words going across your eyeballs this week, James?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
In preparation, because over on patreon.com/MLM pod, we started a new show called Death from Above, a Sam and Max podcast, which is about the Sam and Max franchise. It started out as a comic book, then became a video game, a very famous one from the LucasArts point-and-click adventure era of LucasArts games. Mm-hmm. Sam and Max hit the road. And then it also was a TV show and a few more games. Recently, a VR one was just released. So the franchise is still going. It's very small points in time, but it's enough to keep the fan base pleased. So we're starting with the TV show, but I'm like, fuck, man. I love this so much, but I don't want to watch all the episodes, then have to like watch them again, and maybe like the magic is it's so close to watching them a second time. So I'm like, I'll set that aside. But a lot of the episodes are direct or like mildly direct adaptations of the comic book. So I've been reading Sam and Max, Surfing the Highway. It's all the comics that were released at the time when this was released, compiled together, that Telltale put out. It's on the first page of this. Like, if you want to get into comic book writing or drawing, the artwork, just look at the first page of this comic book, because it perfectly encapsulates what the world is. Yes, they're in a New York City, but there are key details within this. Like, there's a bunch of rats lifting up an engine and carrying it away. Did they buy this? Did they steal this? We don't know. There's just so many like key details to this single page that tells you what you are about to get into. It's so fucking good. They need to reprint this book because it's very expensive on the internet if you try to get it resale right now, or they need to put it out on like Comixology, even though that's a shit show right now. But this comic needs to be readily available to people because it is so good.
Hell yeah, yeah. It looked like you had a nice copy of that too. That would look a well put together graphic novel. Do you think if you dug through like comic book store bins, you might be able to find these individual copies, or are they too hard to find?
They are extremely hard to find. I do that every single time I go. And I'm so pissed because when the pandemic hit, all collectible things skyrocketed in price.
Right.
Sam and Max issues were maybe like $50 or $15, something like that. And there's not a lot. There's maybe 8 or so single issues that you can purchase. And then the rest were like compiled of like web comics or promotional material for video games and such. So there's not a lot to go off from, but now they're like $80+ for single issues, and I'm like, fudge.
Yeah, that's a fudge situation for sure. Yes. Why is it something that you're like really into and like want to dissect into? It's like so expensive, but like just some some piece of crap is like so readily available. Like, you know, you'll find 500 copies of, you know.
Well, this is actually the first time that luckily a ex of mine got me this when it was out and only, you know, $30 to buy.
Right on.
But I've been very fortunate in all of the shit that I enjoy is very, very inexpensive, like The Mask. When I purchased all the issues of The Mask, they were under $1 each besides the Joker Mask saga because like people wanted that. But if the cover price was $3, the buying it resale like $6 to $10 a copy, and there's only 4 issues, so it wasn't that much. But now, because of how collectible shit is online and at resale places, The Mask now, I probably spent $50 on the entire collection. Now, if I were to sell the entire collection, I might get like $300 for it.
Flip it. Come on,
No,
man.
oh, absolutely not. No, The Mask is my, like, of series that have like so many issues, even though it's not a lot for The Mask, that's my favorite. Sam and Max will always be like top dollar, hell yeah. Then Dork Tower probably is high up there, and like Batman Streets of Gotham. I bet Streets of Gotham now is very, very expensive. Whereas when I was purchasing it, the only one that was expensive was the single issue that featured the Joker, and the cover art's very cool. It's like a Joker's card, or a Joker card, not to be confused with ICP's Joker's cards. Yeah, I've been fortunate in the shit that I have enjoyed comic book wise is very inexpensive, but with this whole siege of fucking resellers being like, well, people were stuck inside. I'm excited for when that starts nosediving and people aren't wanting to purchase for that expensive shit.
Yeah, I hear you. I've gotten rid of all the comics that I care to get rid of. I can easily say flip that, but I'm never going to flip like the last 2 boxes of comics that I have. I'll never, ever, because it's stuff that I could flip. It's like the Robert Crumb weirdo stuff from way back when, old original Harvey Picar stuff, and Hate, 8-Ball, Avon Brunetti, Scud, I Lucifer. The I Lucifer is like, yeah, that'd be right up your alley, as a matter of fact, friend. Yeah, that's worth a lot now, just because of like, I guess like the goth elf community was heavily influenced by that comic. I don't know. Wheel of Time comics, though. Let's get back into the Wheel of Time show. I'm going to switch gears, man. I can't do it very succinctly, but I can do it. We're going to be talking about, I keep saying blood after blood, blood calls blood. Like this episode is called Blood verb blood. Blood calls blood. There we go. And we're stepping in halfway through. We just finished watching Perrin and Egwene get left alone in the tent by Valda to talk over they're gonna agree who's gonna die with a handshake, apparently.
Can I say something about that scene, because I rewatched a little bit of it to lead in?
It comes back up. Yeah.
When she says, I'm just a girl from a mountain village, Nicole and I both went, I'm just a girl from a mountain village. Shout out to No Doubt.
No Doubt, shout out. So yeah, we're going to start with the scene with Nynaeve getting a knock on the door from Steppen. He's wanting a little bit more of that stuff that she gave him earlier. It sounds like he's getting some weed.
I have one more comment. It's very quick. At the end of that scene when they pull out his gag on Perrin, it's like wipe his mouth off, because there was like this huge, disgusting glob of spit on him. And I'm like, ugh.
I think that was intentional to make the scene look grosser than it had to. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't like it at all.
All right. So yeah, Steppen's asking for some more of that stuff that helps him sleep. Um, this is a good scene to rewatch because you figure out that he's not actually getting that stuff for himself to get some sleep. But that's the lie he's telling Nynaeve here anyway. Nynaeve also reassures him that the pain, don't worry, the pain will never go away.
So she's like, oh yeah, it's goat's tongue. It's an herb, not real goat's tongue. Which goat's tongue is bottom leaf, and bottom leaf is that sticky, icky, dank shit, and people love getting high to it.
It's
The
totally
Hobbit-
indica.
Yeah, the Hobbit is just full of stoners, guys. That's
Yep.
why they're so carefree.
Yeah, he's blowing those giant smoke rings around, those dope rings. Hell yeah.
That's why they have so many meals.
Yep. Well, she gives him a nice big dose of some super indica, some super fat stuff that can totally knock you on your ass, as we'll find out later. She goes in the hallway, runs into Leandrin of the Reds. Yeah, don't. Okay, love the actress, hate the character, right?
Yeah, but also you were told, ma'am, to not talk to any of these people here,
Especially
Like,
her.
yes, and then you are like, oh yeah. She seems like reserved and like, I don't think I'm going to be friendly here and not really go with you and give you more than what I should be giving. But it's like, oh, see her, I have diarrhea. I'm gonna get out of here. But then she would probably be like, well, I'm an Aes Sedai. I can cure the diarrhea and make that solid poop in you. Do you think they could do that?
Absolutely, yeah.
I need to live in this world, guys.
I know. You need to live in Tar Valon and have like easy access to an Aes Sedai. If you live like in a mountain village, then you'd have Nynaeve, the wisdom, and she, quote unquote, couldn't channel, but you know, she did know every herb for any ailment, and she describes in this episode how she could heal anybody of pretty much anything. She's got your back.
This is the deciding factor. Is the Dark One able to heal?
Oh, the Dark One. Absolutely. The Dark One is powerful. He's a powerful channeler. I mean,
Okay.
so yes.
All right, then I'm still on the Dark One side. He can make me have solid poops. So, all right. I don't need to go over to the Aes Sedai.
I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to go. Okay, actually, I'm going to pause that because we're going to go into Steppen later. Actually, no, we'll go ahead and talk about it now. When Steppen and Land are chit-chatting later on in the episode, and he's got those action figures up, and he's talking about how they're like, you know, he's trying to keep away the Forsaken is what he says. And he has all these little action figures up there. And he explains that like each of the Forsaken was granted whatever they wanted in exchange for being the Dark One's minions, in exchange for immortality. So it sounds like if you were to be one of those Forsaken, it sounds like that's probably what you're aiming for, is to be one of the 13 Forsaken. Because that's, you know, that those are like his or hers like left-hand group, except he's got 13 instead of just one. So
when I worked at a corporation, I was a supervisor. So it went like level 2, level 3 agents, then supervisors, assistant managers, then manager.
Right.
I sat right next to my manager as a supervisor, and she would be like, "Man, it would be great to just if I was able to have an assistant and just hire you." And I was like, "Please do that. I want to be a personal assistant." So I don't think I would want to be a Forsaken. I would just love to be the personal assistant to the Dark One.
That's what the Forsaken are, basically. They're 13 assistants. They all have their own way that they're trying to aid the Dark One.
But this seems more like, hey, go out and do your shit.
Right.
I am the person who helps schedule their day, get them lunch, field questions so they're not bogged down with not actually urgent bullshit.
I think, oh man, that would have changed the entire outcome of the whole series. I think if we had shoehorned you in there as the, well, I mean, it's not too late. I mean, the wheel is still turning, so maybe the next turning of the wheel, the Dark One will have, that by his side.
Yeah, because I'm going to be honest, when I was in that department, things ran smoothly. And if I would have just been a dedicated personal assistant, we would have smashed things out of the park. So if any company were to hire me, like a podcast company, anything, a studio, I'm going to make sure we are the best podcast company or best studio I can make you. So if I were the Dark One's assistant, there would be no failing. We are doing shit and getting things done.
I mean, I'm a pretty organized person myself. I think I could still work with you because it kind of feels like that. Like I'm working on the side of the light, you're working on the side of the dark, and we're both working together here. I mean, everybody needs an ambassador, and sometimes, we have an ambassador to countries that we're enemies with. So I don't know. I think you and I could be good ambassadors, for the light and the dark to maybe, get some shit done.
Well, you just made a proclamation on Instagram that, hey, we're done with these ads. If I were the Dark One's assistant, you better believe, like, military style Air Force, the Army Reserve, propaganda, even though it's not propaganda for us, of, hey, join the army of the Dark One, become what's that one lady who was the bartender? What kind of thing was she?
Dana, you mean? She was a dark friend.
A dark friend. Yeah, hey guys, be a dark friend.
No, I'm not even doing ads that benefit me, so I'm definitely not going to do any ads that benefit the Dark One.
What are those people with no eyes, only teeth?
The eyeless, the fades.
Okay, hey, you want to know what? You're a dark friend. You can work your way up in this company and eventually become a fade. Wouldn't that be great? Join now.
And then you cut to like a shot of him going,
yeah. Here's some personal, what do you call personal stories, personal anecdotes from real fades who joined at the introductory level. And then, yeah, it is just like...
Man. All right. We're going to continue on. I love this. We're going to switch over to Matt and Rand because we're going to get ready to conjoin our stories here.
Can I say a couple quick things about them? Yeah. All I have left of her is the pain is something that guy says about the Aes Sedai dying. And I was like, that's some Commander Venus type lyrics.
Commander Venus. Yes.
It's one of Connor Oberst's first band. They like pioneered the emo sound.
Word. Okay. Yeah, went over my head. I'm sorry, James. I have nothing to declare at this point.
Have we gotten to that disease? Oh no, we're about to get to that. Okay, never mind. Now we're good.
Yeah, we ain't got nowhere, but we have gotten to Matt and Rand hanging out. Loyal bangs on the door, talking his slow, funny talk. I love the way he talks. It's over top of what's happening in the room. He found the friend, Nynaeve. Note, it was not Moraine that brought their friends to Nynaeve. It was Loyal that brought Nynaeve to the friends. We see some joy in Matt's eyes, and he declares, "You're alive," and he looks happy about that. I was happy about that.
He does not look healthy, though. He looks like early Romero zombies, where it's like, well, we don't have a budget, just like splash like powder on their face. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, believable as well. I mean, it's not like too overdone. I mean, it looks right on. He won't let her look at his tongue. Obviously, there's, we know he's got issues. We don't got to go into that. He turns very angry at Nynaeve. Nynaeve and Rand confer as a couple Two Rivers folk doing their reasonable thing. Rand's been taking good care of Matt after all. Everybody wants to avoid Aes Sedai at this point, including Nynaeve. That's like the general vibe of everybody is like, let's just get out of here and handle this ourselves, the Two River way. Nynaeve then tells a story. Okay, before I go into this, fresh in your mind from 2 episodes back, James. Do you remember Nynaeve healing Lan, healing everybody in the room, the power of the sun? She's shining. She tells a story about Egwene as a young girl dying and getting ready to die. And she says that she grabbed Egwene's hands and prayed. And then what do you know? Egwene was fine. That's something that that also happened in the books, and it also completely went over my head in the books. I didn't even make the connection until I actually watched the show, and that's when I made the connection. Like, holy shit, she was the one that cured Egwene of breakbone fever. It was her, and I didn't. He wrote it in such a way that it wasn't as obviously put together as it is like in a TV show where you can draw clues from everything.
Also, that the fact that within 30 minutes you're getting this story from when, or I guess more like within 40 minutes, if you were to binge watch all of these episodes, you're getting her doing that like, pew, I healed everyone, to now her telling that story. I'm guessing it wasn't 30 minutes, 40 minutes worth of reading from that event to this story.
Yeah, Jordan was great at like spacing it out over the span of books, so you'll forget stuff. And that kind of the way I read Wheel of Time, like as slow as I do, is sometimes I open my book and I have no idea what I'm opening it to or what chapter I'm at or what's going on, but I just enjoy the character interaction, and you figure it out as you go. But yeah, you can just pick it up anywhere and crack it open and read a page, and you'll find something crazy.
Is this crab leg disease, is it a thing in this, like, do multiple people have it, or is it just for this one event?
All we know about is just Egwene.
Okay.
But, it's common enough that it has a name, so, it has happened to other people, obviously.
Nicole was watching during this, and this scene made her go, she didn't say it, but visibly she's like, I'm leaving. I don't want to hear about this. This sucks.
It's the Bruce Willis story. Unbreakable is what I was thinking. Did you hear about his the whole taking back of his Razzies recently?
No.
Yeah, this is kind of a sweet story, I think. The Razzies, they they fuck with everybody. They give you awards for like, in a snarky sense. You're obviously familiar. So they gave an award to, what was her name? Shelley Duvall, perhaps, for The Shining. They gave her a Razzie for her performance in The Shining because she was just so over the top and like nutty in that movie. They rescinded her Razzie once it came out that Stanley Kubrick was kind of a bastard and, abused her on set and did all these kind of weird methods to get her to perform. They took back her Razzie. They're like, oh, she was acting crazy because she was being abused, so we can't make fun of that.
Yeah.
So Bruce Willis won a Razzie last year or this year for a performance, and the reason he won his Razzie was because his acting was really terrible and he seemed like he was out of it, and so he won a Razzie for that. And it was rescinded almost immediately when they found out that he actually has like a disease, and he's been having to struggle through this. So the Razzies might be bastards, but they'll take it back if they have to.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Razzies in concept when it's like, hey, we're making fun of these like big budget bullshit movies, but when they start going after like indie stuff, it's like, oh, you've lost your way, Razzies. But they should have then given Shelley Duvall's to like a lifetime achievement award to Stanley Kubrick for just putting out shit after shit after shit. God, he's never made a good movie.
God, I really enjoy watching his movies despite his bastardness.
Even before I knew about his bastardness, I hated his movies.
It's just not your speed. It's fine. I love your distaste of it. It pleases me.
I'm on a higher level than, the people are like, you're not smart enough to understand. And I was like, no, I think you're gullible enough to think it's high art. That's the real thing.
Yep. All right. Well, while this is happening and then Nynaeve and Rand are bonding, Moraine and Leandrin have a little run in the hallways talking about our girl Nynaeve. Will she be a yellow? Seems like it, because the yellow Aja are all about healing, and she obviously is a healer. A red, perhaps, because she has kind of like the attitude of a red Aja. It's pretty clear Moraine's trying to cock block Leandrin from even hanging out with her. Yeah. Any thoughts so far before we go on with Moraine?
Nah.
Okay. Then we get Moraine and Alana chit-chatting in the bedroom. They're talking about the water bond and Steppen. And, of course, he's in a bad spot. It's pretty clear that to us viewers that nobody really knows what Moraine is up to when she's out there. And it's also clear that she has a couple of enemies in the tower. Leandrin is like, they're talking about how Leandrin is like gaining followers in the tower and how the Armorillan seat is displeased and people aren't liking the way she's running shit. But at the same time, the Armorillan seat doesn't like Moraine because Moraine's never around. So a lot of politics happening here. There's different sides, but it seems like Alana is trying to push Moraine up to like, watch out, but you're pretty powerful too. I mean, maybe you could make a power move here. So yeah, Aes Sedai are always talking their tower politics. Do you have any thoughts about their sneakiness in their politics, James?
Not on that, but I remembered when Leandrin, I think, is the blonde-haired lady, and she's talking to Nynaeve and is saying, hey, even though women hold the one power, men still control most aspects of life, and they hate when they sense a woman even slightly stronger and more powerful than them. And what's the dude who wrote these books?
Robert Jordan.
He clearly listened to his wife and like intently was down for a cause, or just paid attention and had empathy and was like, oh, I'm going to put this into a book and into a genre that doesn't really seem very woman focused.
Exactly.
In the sense of like, hey, these are strong people, unless it's to fetish size strong women.
You're exactly right. I mean, it's clear, and I can't really speak for a lot of other fantasy genres, but I mean, I know the popular stuff that was out at this time. I was not reading Wheel of Time as it was coming out back in the 90s and 2000s. I didn't get into it till later. But, I was reading stuff like Conan the Barbarian, which is definitely for dudes, and Asimov and Douglas. And even though Douglas Adams did, have... I don't know, even his female characters looking back weren't as fully realized as his male characters were. And yeah, you have an absolute point there. And that's why Wheel of Time, not being sexist or generalizing, but yeah, there's a lot of female fans of the Wheel of Time. Let's see. So, oh yeah, if we end the scene with Moraine looking at a clock very wistfully. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Or I didn't clock it.
Oh, it made me chuckle. I don't know, just because it was cheesy. Let's see. I want to finish talking about the Aes Sedai before we go into Egwene and Perrin. All right, so we're going to talk here about Steppen and Lan. So we chatted before about how he had his figures and he was praying. He feeding Lan some drinks, also feeding Lan some pretty obvious lies here. He's agreeing to hook up with Alana and with Ivan and Steppen, making all this big talk about, how he's hot and he can handle a man if they can handle him. I mean, anybody who's listening to this has already seen this episode, so we know this is all just bullshit Steppen's just doing so he can, get everybody out of his way so he can go do his thing. So he gave all the juice, all the indica to Lan to knock him out. Lan wakes up the next morning and, he's Harry carried himself. But yes.
And something's up right away because no one in their right mind goes to sleep fully dressed in like warrior wear with their hair up and like a headband on to keep that hair up. I was like, oh, this seems so uncomfortable.
He's Lan. That's how he sleeps all the time. He rides a saddle that way. He makes love that way. Hell yeah.
We don't know that, but there was some wisdom water shipping going on in this episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, who was it? Somebody brought that up. I think it was Steppen maybe that was
Yeah.
noticing what's up, and Land's like, I don't
I have
know.
nothing to say about that woman. She healed you, dude. She saved your life. Well, that's just the job.
All right, let's see. So, oh yeah, so from here on in this storyline, it's all tragedy. Um, Land sees that there's only 6 swords on that thing to Malakir for the 7 swords of Malakir, I think is what that is. He has, done the most honorable suicide possible, but even so, it's tragic. We end with the funeral. Lan is obviously tore up about this. This is his best friend. We don't know this at the show, but they trained together. They were kids together. I mean, they're total buddies. And Moraine can obviously feel his pain. Everybody in there feels the pain. He's screaming in anguish. I'm ashamed to say that me and Heather, the first time we saw this, we were kind of rolling our eyes and chuckling a little bit. It didn't catch us. Like watching it the second or third time, I think was kind of more tuned into the mood. But it kind of his screaming and baring of the chest took me out of it just slightly, I guess. What are your thoughts about this scene?
I love this scene. I do have one of my questions. This is my second question of the day.
Yes, sir.
Can women be warders?
There has never been a woman warder. All dudes.
Okay, so there were some, I guess, Aes Sedai that I did not recognize.
Oh,
and I
there's
thought
us.
maybe,
Yeah, you knew them. It was behind them was Alana, and it was the same women that we've been seeing this whole time. The Aes
Okay.
Sedai. Yeah.
Because there was one that I was like, who? And then when they panned around, I was like, well, those people I know. So I was wondering, like, is one of these a warder? That's pretty cool.
Nah, that would be cool though. Hell yeah. I was thinking like this is unusual. First off, for this to even have happened for like a warder to outlive his Aes Sedai, it's just rare. And then this was what everybody expected, that he would be so distraught he wouldn't be able to carry on. It's exactly what happened. At one time, you told me that either I was the yogi to your boo boo or you were the boo boo to my yogi. I loved that. But I was thinking maybe during their life, maybe I'm more of the Steppen to your Alana.
No, let's not say, because if I die, which, oh boy, there's so much opportunity for me to do that in the way that, because when I saw him having committed suicide, I was like, that's like me when Frank passed away. But yeah, that's just weird and like we don't have that bond, sir.
Or I was going with that, and I keep saying Alana. It's Karene that passed away. That was his warder, Karene. Alana is the other one that was willing to take him in. But at any rate, yeah, because you've been doing this much longer than me, so you're like older, you're wiser at this whole audio thing than I am. And I'm just a mortal out here, kind of like an older dude. But you took me under your wing, and we have a bond where we had like a collaboration, and I'm stronger and more powerful from it. So, absolutely.
Let's just do, I don't know, I'm the blacksmith, and then I took you as an apprentice.
I want to be the blacksmith. Like, we can't do it that way because I want to be Perrin. That's me.
Yeah, but isn't Perrin... well, this is also another weird thing. I'd be like, well, what about Perrin's wife? Like, she was the blacksmith, right?
No. Well, I don't know. I think they're just a blacksmith team. I mean, Perrin...
I've never seen him as the blacksmith.
Say again?
I've never seen him as the blacksmith. I always thought she was the blacksmith, and he was either just a helper or just her husband.
I mean, the show is obviously not the books. There's so many differences. But in the book, he was a blacksmith's apprentice, and he lived with the blacksmith and the blacksmith's wife. They took him in as a kid to be their apprentice.
What about this? I'm just braiding your hair.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then you're going to push me into the river.
Yeah, there you go. I'll say you got this, man.
You've already done that.
Yeah, I have done that of just like, yeah, I've taught you how to do this stuff, but you need to figure it out. I'm not going to just...
I have. I struggled, but now I'm just relaxed and just going with it, baby. All right. I feel like I disrespected Steppen, but are we done talking about the White Tower now and Matt and Rand and everybody, and we can move on to Perrin and Egwene?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, we're back to them. Valda comes back into the room and just casually starts torturing them again. It seems like it's just no big deal to him.
Last episode, you
Mm-hmm.
were saying, oh, I thought he did a checkered board pattern. I think that's because now I said, oh, it looked like 3 claw marks.
Right.
But now he's doing the checkered board pattern, and that might have been in the back of your mind.
It was, absolutely. When I saw this part, I automatically knew that that's what I was talking about. Let's see. Perrin goes ahead and wants to confess. They did this cleanup job of Egwene. They really scrubbed her, and her hair looks all nice. So, you know, she's doing pretty good. Oh, let me scrub this computer real quick. There, it's all scrubbed and nice. Perrin, they didn't bother doing that for, but he looks super cool. His hair looks awesome. I think, like, being out in the woods and sweating and shit, I think it enhances him. I don't know. But, you know, he's not in good shape, but he's got cool hair. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah, Valda's pretty nonchalant about this whole thing. Egwene begins channeling, and this dumbass, like, who's dealt with multiple Aes Sedais in the past, just lets her channel fully and lets her take a shot at him, even though he thought that she was more powerful. Is Valda the stupidest character in the show right now?
Yeah, because there's something that happens in maybe 40 seconds from that moment that I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? But also, so he's cutting into them. I am someone who I notice sounds around me, and it seems like an individual who is on high alert about, hey, people kind of want me dead. There's this entire faction that would like to see all these white coats just out of here. This fucker doesn't clock like, oh, what's up with the sudden uptick in wolf howls whenever I slash into this boy?
Yes. Man, he is startled by Perrin's eyes. He's not startled by Egwene channeling and hitting him with fire. He's startled that Perrin is just standing there like Frankenstein staring at him, and it dumbfounds him so much that Egwene is able to stab him in the back. Hell yes, Egwene.
She, I think, distracted him with the like tiny poof of flame, because what she was really doing was lighting Perrin's ropes on fire in order for him to break free.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Then you want to know what both Nicole and I screamed at the same exact time?
Please.
You won't sass me like that when I can
Yes!
summon wolves.
That's my last line right here, dude. Holy shit. Yup. How can you deny it? Those wolves, he summoned those wolves, baby. They helped them get away. Looks like Perrin fits right in with those guys. He knows they're snarling at him, but he knows somehow they're not going to hurt him. Hell yeah,
Also,
Perrin. Both you guys came through.
Egwene, I have a small gripe with, like, it's the same thing with slasher movies. Don't just stab someone a single time. Like, go G.G. Allen, 99 stab wounds on them, and keep at it. There's people who can heal around here. Like, chop his head off. Do something concrete, because this man hates you now and wants you dead.
Yeah, and he's ran into you twice randomly, so it's probably the pattern is allowing them, you know, because he's kind of right about that. He's like, something brought you back to me. It must mean something. They all believe in the pattern that's woven, that the pattern has a purpose. Mm-hmm. So they're like, yeah. And yeah, exactly like you said. We did not leave seeing a dead Valda body. We just left seeing Valda on the ground, hadn't gotten stabbed one time.
Just going, ooh. He looked like someone who had just gotten drunk and was like, I need to stand on this wall and just kind of slouch down till I'm in the sitting position.
Egwene did think pretty smart, though, and she grabbed all of his Aes Sedai rings before they left. Mm-hmm. So hell yes, Egwene, for that one.
I didn't notice that, but hell yeah.
Yeah. She grabbed the whole barrel of them. And yeah, my last note was, you won't sass me like that when I can summon wolves, motherfucker.
Sure.
So, okay, I wanted to do a rundown of our 3 river folks, because remember, they don't like Aes Sedai. They're going to figure everything out themselves. 2 river folks can take care of themselves. Matt, for sure, is possessed of some sort. He's not good, but he's for sure something's going on.
It's that dagger, baby.
Perrin for sure is some sort of wolfman. That's been established now in this episode. Egwene for sure can channel. We've seen it 3 times now that she can channel. Nynaeve for sure can mega channel, like big time. And Rand for sure. You're a D&D guy. You probably know about charisma. He seems to have a high level of charisma. He for sure can like bust down that like triple barricaded metal door too to escape from Dana. So every one of our 2 rivers 5 is, has got some pretty mega superpowers. They're like the New Mutants or some shit.
Can I make a guess?
Yeah, definitely. This is the time to do it.
I believe the previous dragon did something kind of like what is it? Not a portent. What's the thing in Harry Potter? Unfortunately, I have to bring up Harry Potter. A Horcrux.
Okay.
I think the last dragon did that in a way, but instead of like putting it in artifacts, split his power up into 5 individuals, and I think they are all the dragon.
Oh dang! So like they're like one of those things that runs through the street, like in like those parades, and they're like a five people inside those dragon parades. Hell yeah, I like that idea.
They're like Orochi, the 5-headed dragon.
Obviously, Nynaeve would be the head because we've seen her more. I mean, I don't know. As of right now, it seems like she's the most powerful of everyone. Oh, but I forgot though. Rand can vomit up bats. That's pretty rad.
Yeah. I said I just said out loud when he was in bed, like looking terrible. I said, I threw up I threw up a bat that I didn't eat. I'm not doing well. And Nicole's like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, he threw up a bat just like out of nowhere, but we're not sure if it was real or not. And she's like, okay.
All right. Well, I think that is, I mean, if we haven't summarized it well, yes. Listener, you've seen the episode, right? Perrin and Nynaeve escape. They run into the night with the help of the wolves. Nynaeve has the rings. Hell yes. Steppen, unfortunately, is dead. Hell no. Nynaeve and Rand and Matt are back together. Hell yes. And where else are we at? Moraine and Lan, they're sad. They're in mourning right now. So that's where we end this episode. You only asked me 2 questions so far. So do you have a third or anything else you want to go on?
No, I mean, I also asked you, like, what are those mouth people called? And
okay,
I mean, that's not really a question. Are they at all? Even though you won't tell me, are they all part of the dragon?
Yeah, that's something I can't tell you. That's like spoiler alert.
Maybe this dude's like really into things of, Power Ranger, Super Sentai. He's like, oh, the 5 come together and form the greatest thing in the world. Also, it would be good because even if one of them dies, there is still hope if 4 of them exist. It won't be as powerful, but there's still hope in the world. And it also makes sure they're not going to be corrupted as easily because they can all help each other out.
Okay, this is not a spoiler at all, and I think this kind of will answer your question. Of course, I can't answer who the dragon is yet because nobody knows at this point, but it is obvious that these are ta'veren. Have you heard that word getting bandied about every episode or so? They say somebody is ta'veren or a ta'veren pull. What that means basically is they have a high level of charisma. People are drawn to them. Things happen when this person is around. Elvis Presley would be like a ta'veren figure or anybody like, I don't know. You get the point. It's pretty well established that these 5 are all ta'veren, if nothing else. And what a ta'veren is basically is like, not exactly the dragon, but it is a person with high charisma that has potential to be a Forsaken, has potential to be an Aes Sedai, has potential to be a dragon, has great potential basically to bring people together and to be a leader. That's something that all 5 of these have in common, and it comes from where they come from, Manetheren, aka the 2 rivers, which is strong Taviran land, and they talked about that in the first 2 episodes.
Okay, I'm still gonna say either they're all dragon, or maybe the dragon had close acquaintances and they were then reincarnated in a close proximity.
Yeah, because in this world too, there's only an X amount of souls, period. Let's say 1 million. So they're talking about the King of Manetheren. Well, his soul is going to come back. They're talking about Jane Farstrider. Her soul is going to come back. It's the wheel, baby.
Hold on.
Okay.
Who was the king who was hey, let's hold up all our walls?
Let's hold up all our walls.
And then
that was the King of Manetheren, yeah.
That's his dagger, and I bet fucking
no.
Matt...
Shadar Logoth, yes.
I bet Matt is his soul, and that's why he was drawn to the dagger.
That makes a hell of a lot of sense, dude. Right on. All right, question time over, right? Do you have any more questions?
I'm done. Plugs now, baby.
Plug time. I'm going to let James plug first. Plug away, friend.
Hey guys, go to mlmpod.com to listen or hear information, see information about my other podcasts, such as Mostly Speaking Sentai, Hit It and Crit It, and I think that's about it. Oh, Shuffling the Deck. Then please head over to patreon.com/MLMpod, where for $5 a month you get exclusive podcasts such as the aforementioned Death from Above, a Sam and Max podcast, the Toku Reading Corner, Engage with Nicolas Cage, and This Existed. It's a great time. It's fun. Go check it out. And listen to my music under Marshland Monster. Ooh, baby. That's all I have.
That's all I have. That's 1 million goddamn things, man.
I did that in a minute.
No, I know, but I'm just saying you do a lot. You do a lot of podcasts, and I'm honored that you give me time to do one with me as well. So thank you, sir.
I'm also producing for I'm producing a couple secret albums for other people. Be on the lookout for that.
Oh, baby. I guess, am I the producer of this podcast? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like you are, because I defer to you. But yeah, I do the outline and I'm editing and all that BS. So I need to work with you about how to get on app. I take that back. I'm just going to probably send you a couple of random texts saying I did this, but I need to get on Apple Podcasts. I've been trying to do that, and I'm having a very hard time with that link.
It's crazy that because every time I've made a podcast, it's automatic. It does it on its own. And it's weird that it's not doing that for you.
I do all kinds of things wrong, James. You should know this about me by now. Doi. Well, let me do my plugs now. I'm going to plug my band Intravoid, which, as I said, my ghost member Sam and I have been hard at work on new material. Rebecca Crow is something else you could also check out. That is 3 songs we have on Spotify right now, and we had a band practice just before this record. We're still going strong. My biggest plug I want to say is this podcast, not the one that you just listened to, but in general, I want to plug our Instagram, which is Sweet Child of Time Pod on Instagram. We have a Gmail account, Sweet Child of Time Pod at gmail.com. I think I sputtered that correctly. And what else do we have? Oh, we have the Discord. James, he keeps talking about Marshland Monster, Marshland Media. He's also got a Discord that's pretty poppin'. He put a little channel on there for us, the Sweet Child of Timesies. So you can join us on there. The link is on both of our Instagrams, or just write us and talk to us and rock on, y'all. But that was it for Blood After Blood. Next week, we're going to begin episode 6. But for now, we're going to say goodbye to all our listeners, but especially to James. I'm going to say, my friend, may you always find water and shade, friend.
And may you always find water and shade as well, friend.
Peace. Bye, everybody.
Bye.